Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. So in this video I'll be discussing the main components of the endocrine system, and I'll be discussing every single gland present in the endocrine system and the hormone it produces and its function in the human body. So over here I have the structure of the human body, and I've drawn all the all the glands that are present in the endocrine system, and I'll just be discussing them with you guys. So I'll be breaking each hormone down, and then I'll just be explaining its function and the hormone it produces. Now, this is to further increase your understanding of the endocrine system, hence why I've drawn all the hormones, and I'll just be breaking it down for you guys. So the first gland we have is called the pineal gland, which is located in the brain right at the top. Now, the function of the pineal gland is to produce melatonin. And what melatonin does is melatonin is a hormone that regulates the day and night cycle inside the human body. Now, as normal functioning humans, during the daytime we would be working and doing whatever activities we needed to do, and then at nighttime is usually the time when we would go to sleep so we can recharge and we can reset for the day. Now, with anyone who suffers from insomnia, what they would suffer from is just a lack of melatonin present in the body. Now, if that were to occur, what that would mean is that they would need to take whatever treatments or medication necessary to regulate the sleep cycle and to produce more melatonin in the body. Because at the end of the day, if we don't get enough sleep as humans, what that does to us is that it affects our day-to-day lives and the way our body functions and the different hormones that our body produces. The next part we have is the hypothalamus. So if you guys recall in the previous video I made, the hypothalamus is also located in the brain, and that's located right there at the base of the brain. Now, the function of the hypothalamus is to control all the hormones in the body, and is to regulate each gland and each hormone that produces a particular substance into the body. Now, the hypothalamus is of vital importance because it's also linked to the pituitary gland. So I would highly recommend that if you have not watched my previous video, that you please do go back there and just review it so you can get a clearer and better understanding. Now, the next part we have is the pituitary gland. Now, we know the pituitary gland is divided up into two lobes. There's the anterior lobe and the posterior lobe. Now, if you recall in the previous video, the anterior lobe is called the adenohypophysis. That's another name for it. The reason being is because it's made up of glandular tissue, and what it does is that it secretes hormones, and they come from a particular gland, and then they'll go to its target function, its target hormone in the body to perform its particular function. The posterior lobe is called the neurohypophysis, and that is because it's made up of neurological tissue, because what you find with the posterior lobe is that it continues straight from the brain, and then it goes down into the human body, and then it's situated in the pituitary gland. Now, that posterior lobe is made up of neurological tissue, hence why it is called the neurohypophysis. The next part is the thyroid gland, which is just this little bow tie sitting over here. Now, the function of the thyroid gland is to produce thyroid hormones, T3 and T4. Now, the purpose of the thyroid gland is to produce thyroid hormones, and the reason that is that we have a hormone in the body called thyroxine. Thyroxine regulates the amount of thyroid hormone that is in the body. So if you recall in the previous video, I spoke about the negative feedback mechanisms and maintaining homeostasis. So homeostasis is maintaining that level of balance throughout the body. Now, with the thyroid gland is that if there's too little thyroxine, what you will find is that the thyroid gland will secrete more thyroid hormone and vice versa. Now, with the thyroid gland, it produces two types of hormone, T3 and T4. The only difference between T3 and T4 is the number of iodine cells present in the thyroid gland. So, with the thyroid hormone, the thyroid gland also contains something we call C cells, which produce parafollicular hormone, which is also known as calcitonin. Now, that function of the calcitonin is to regulate and reduce the amount of calcium levels in the blood. So as we go down, we also have 4 smaller glands located inside the thyroid gland. These smaller glands are located at the back of the thyroid gland, and we call them the parathyroid hormones. What these parathyroid hormones do is that they increase the calcium levels. So recall I said calcitonin reduces calcium levels, The four thyroid glands, parathyroid glands, increase calcium levels. So those two glands work antagonistically to each other, because at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to restore homeostasis so there can be a balance in the body. Not too much of a hormone and not too little, but just enough. Going down, we have the thymus gland. Now, the thymus gland produces thymosin, which stimulates and protects the immune system from any sicknesses, any diseases, and it just prevents us from getting sick. Now, this gland is of particular importance because it really comes in handy during the flu season, when colds and flu are really rife and then everyone is getting sick these days. So what would happen is during winter, the thymus gland would produce lots of thymosin, and that would stimulate the immune system to perform whatever functions it needs to do, and it also keeps it safe from any infection or any diseases that might occur in the body. Now going down, we have the two kidneys over here, the left kidney and the right kidney. So right above the two kidneys, we have something called the adrenal glands. Now the adrenal glands is broken up into two parts. There's the cortex, which is the outer gland, and the medulla, which is the inner gland. Now the adrenal gland produces two hormones in the body. Now in the outer gland, or the cortex, the adrenal gland will produce a hormone called aldosterone. Aldosterone will increase the sodium absorption in the renal tubules, and it also produces hydrocortisone, which is that survival stress hormone. So whenever you're put in a dangerous situation, it would obviously produce the hormone stress, and that part of the stress is to keep you active, and it also keeps you alive so you don't crash and you obviously don't die, and it just keeps you stressed, so that is also a survival mechanism. Now with the sodium absorption, this would take place in the renal tubules inside the urinary system. Now during the kidneys are also of major importance because they also play a role in the urinary tract and how urine is produced and filtered in and out of the human body. The medulla, which is the inner part, produces a hormone called adrenaline. Now, adrenaline is that hormone that is present in the adrenal glands, and this comes particularly handy during exercise. Whenever we exercise, we find that usually we would have a lot of energy, and that means that our adrenaline levels are extremely high, and then they're performing at their utmost best. Going down, here we have the ovaries, the fallopian tube, and the uterus. So the ovaries would be present in females. Now what the ovaries do is that they produce estrogen, which is the female hormone. Also, it produces secondary female characteristics during puberty, which is the development of breasts, wider hips, pubic hair, underarm hair, and just the secondary characteristics that are present in females whenever they go through puberty. It also develops the endometrium, which is the wall inside of the uterus. And it also produces progesterone, which is the pregnancy hormone. And that hormone maintains the endometrium. And what would happen is during the monthly menstrual cycle, the endometrium is broken down in forms of blood, and then the woman would obviously menstruate, because the process of menstruation is basically preparing the body for pregnancy. So the ovaries would also produce estrogen. Going down here to the testes, these would be present in males. Now the testes produce testosterone, which is the male hormone. Now what testosterone does is that it produces sperm cells, which will be ready and used for fertilization during human reproduction, and it also produces the secondary male characteristics boys go through during puberty, which is obviously increased in height. The voice box would break and deepen. They'd develop pubic hair, underarm hair, facial hair, and they would also develop the increase in testosterone levels. So what the testes would also do is that they would also produce the sperm cells that are used when a couple is trying for a baby, and they also produce the testosterone levels, and they also increase the testosterone levels in the body. Now, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, please gladly leave them in the comments and I'll most definitely get back to you. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.